Hello everyone, today I'm going to be replacing the throttle body on my 94 F150 with the 5.8 liter. I'm going to be putting the one out of my 92 with the 5.0 in it, since I'm probably going to replace the engine anyway and probably won't be using the same intake on it. So I had this laying around, so I'm going to put this on there. I'm going to show you kind of everything you need to disconnect from it on this. Obviously this cover needs to come off. The cable needs to be disconnected from here. You just pop it off. There's a coolant line that runs into here, needs to be disconnected. There's 4 bolts on each corner, and then your electrical to the idle air control valve there, and the positioning sensor down at the bottom here. And then there's also a coolant tube at the bottom. And I think that's pretty much everything that you need to disconnect. I'm going to go ahead and make a video of it now, and obviously I'll catch anything if I missed it there. Okay, so I've got that removed. This should just pop off. It's kind of been worn down since it's been removed so many times on this one, so it pops off easier for me. And next I'm going to disconnect or loosen these hose clamps from the intake and remove those hoses. Gonna move that out of the way. Just got it kind of propped up on that hose. So now I can go ahead and disconnect the idle air control valve. And depending on where the throttle positioning sensor connector is, you can go ahead and disconnect that. I'll probably do it last because it'll be easier to get to once this is not connected to the engine anymore. So next I'm going to disconnect these 2 coolant hoses. Just got an 8mm. I'm sure there's probably a standard size that fits it too, but the 8mm I already had, and it fits on there. And I've got a 1/4 inch for the one at the bottom. And now I'm ready to remove this from the plenum itself. This has been removed and put on a lot, and even before I had this truck, and these bolts have been changed out. I think these 2 on this side are the original bolts, and a 10mm or a 3/8 socket fits on it. And on this other side, at least one of these is going to be a stud. I can't remember if both of them are originally have a stud on them. But on this one, both of them are studs, so you're going to need a deep socket. Got a 9/16 for this top one on this side. And a 1/2 for the bottom. Okay, so now that all the bolts are off, you can remove this from that, and there's also this vacuum hose that needs to be disconnected. And then for me, I left this connected, so we got to disconnect that positioning sensor. So now it's all removed, and we're ready to get the other one put on there almost. I've got this new gasket to put on. I think I just ordered it off of Amazon. So we've got to remove this old gasket. Since I've got a used one, got to take the gasket off of that as well, and then make sure that the surfaces are clean. And I am also going to go ahead and swap out the positioning sensor on these. This one worked, but it's got a bare wire right here, so I'd rather put the new one on this and just take this one off. So now I'm ready to put this back on. I'm going to go ahead, I've got the gasket on here, and I've got it held on by these two bolts I've stuck through the top. And so I'm going to kind of get in position. I'm going to connect the, or at least put it somewhere where I can easily connect it, the positioning sensor. So there is a difference that I'm noticing right away between these two throttle bodies. It's this tube at the bottom of each. It points in a different direction, and on the older one it is longer too, but this one points out, that one points in, and it's longer, and there's kind of some interference between these two tubes, but I think it's probably close enough. If I can get a bolt in the bottom there and just tighten it, it'll bend it without putting a kink in it enough to where it should work okay, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this positioning sensor hooked up. Alright, so I got that one started. Okay, so it looks like it's probably going to work. The only issue now is getting that hose on far enough past that little nipple there, but I think we'll get it on there far enough and it'll be fine. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect the idle air control valve, and then go ahead and get that bottom tube hooked up. Oh yeah, that's gonna be on there plenty. Yeah, it went pretty far up that tube, so I think it'll be fine, and I could probably try to push it up even further. And I'm gonna get this top one hooked up, and the vacuum tube. Now just going to tighten these clamps down. Alright, so now we can go ahead and hook this cable back up. Just pop it on. So that's connected. Now we can go ahead and put these intake tubes back on, and make sure none of your wiring that you've moved around is in your belts or pulleys or anything. Now we can just tighten these down. And it probably doesn't hurt to go ahead and check the coolant level and everything, but the amount that we lost is pretty much negligible. It'll be fine without it, but if it bothers you, you can go ahead and top it off. One last thing to do before you call this complete is go ahead and start the truck up and let it warm up so that coolant is flowing through this, and check for any leaks out of any of these hoses that you disconnected and messed with, because with this being an older vehicle, these hoses get more brittle, and they might have some cracks in them, and especially when you're messing with them, those cracks will open up, and that happened last time I took this off. It cracked, and there was a leak out of one of these hoses, so probably want to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up and check it out. Looks good, and I'll see you in the next video.